It's finally here, the thing that no one was asking for. Oh wait, we already talked about Tall Girl 2? I mean the other thing that nobody was asking for. A direct sequel to the classic The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which we totally already got with The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and Texas Chainsaw 3D. Look, I'm just as tired as you. Let's just keep moving on. 9 years later, Netflix has decided to try the direct sequel route with The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I mean, wait, it's not 2? It's just Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Nothing to differentiate? Oh, it's because they already had Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And then they've already dropped the massacre. So I guess they dropped the. I guess it is cleaner that way.
Drop the. It's cleaner.
Guys, do you like the ambience? Do you like the ambience of the set I've crafted to talk about this movie? It felt right. So you can already tell the timeline for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies is a little bit unusual, a little bit convoluted. It gets even more interesting than just the fact that there's already been 2 direct sequels to the 1974 classic. There's the first 2 that do go together, and then like a third one that isn't really a third one. So like that and the one after that are kind of like not quite sequels, but not quite reboots. The 2003 reboot, which made a ton of money, leading to the 2006 prequel to that reboot, which was totally underperformed, leading to the 2013 sequel to the original, which ignores the original sequel and is also kind of a reboot. But then the 2017 prequel, which was a prequel to the original 1974 movie, which means it was also a prequel to the sequel to the 1974 movie that just came out, until finally the 2022 direct sequel again. So to say that the timeline is convoluted is kind of being very generous. It's a dumpster fire. But that also means that this one really didn't have a lot to live up to. So it's a lot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre to keep up on. So say you want to like compare this one to the other direct sequels. Say you want to go for that 2013 one with Alexandra Daddario. But oh no, it's not available where you live. Well, with today's sponsor, Surfshark, that is a problem no more. By connecting to one of thousands of Surfshark servers, you can make your internet think you're in a different location so you can take advantage of region-locked content. So for this one, all you have to do is connect to a German server and you're good to go. Because life's just too short to be denied access to the world's greatest entertainment. I know I've been using it a ton lately on Hulu so I can catch up with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and the OC. Surfshark is also the only VPN that allows one account to connect to unlimited devices, meaning you don't have to play this game of installing and uninstalling and reinstalling depending on what device you're trying to watch things on. It's super fast, secure, blocks unwanted ads, and if you use code JEDI, you can save a whopping 83% off plus 3 months completely free. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. And it gets even better. If you are not completely satisfied, they offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so make sure to click the link in the description down below to check out Surfshark for yourself. But cutting back to the new one, it was almost everything I could have wanted it to be. Hilariously stupid and over the top. But then they had to go ahead and try and elevate it to that elevated horror level, which drug it into the gutter. So just for some spoiler-free thoughts, this is the exact opposite of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's over the top bloody, but in a fun way. The kills are super creative, but they're very brutal without like descending to that level of just like gross gore of like the mid-2000s movies like Saw and Hostel. It actually features a massacre, so living up to its name. Whereas in the original, it was really just all like the vibes of the dread that they managed to inject and the psychological torturing of the cast members. No, I'm being serious. They had like rotting animals on set. Marilyn Burns was actually cut in the scene where they feed her blood to Grandpa Sawyer. Just absolutely horrifying conditions in which the actors had to take periodic breaks just to get fresh air outside of the house that was filled with like rotting flesh to, breathe and vomit. Really lax on those filming laws back then. But the movie itself really operated on that sense of tension and dread that just came from almost a complete lack of music cues to indicate what might be coming. Like there is really horrifying, creepy, eerie music in different areas, but a lot of the times when a character is like, I don't know if this person is gonna like cut someone, if they're gonna do something brutal, if something disgusting is gonna happen, and there's no music cue to let you know that that might be coming. It's genuinely unsettling, even though there's barely any blood and not much that could be considered close to gore, but it's just tense until it builds up into that full anxiety where you're like yelling at the screen for characters to do something. Point being, it is the exact opposite of what the new one is. And again, to me, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm fine with these like really over the top violent movies that are just kind of like, you're just kind of laughing at how silly they can get, even though what is on screen is like objectively horrifying. All I was really hoping for this one was a fun slasher so that I could point at the screen and go, oh shit! And that's pretty much what it is, except they decided they were gonna try their hand at some social commentaries, but they are so goddamn lazy with it. I know the original was kind of like the statement on the idea of meat in a chain of life and like being hunted down in the same way that like we would hunt down animals. So then just taking that chain and flipping it on humans. You've got people being hung up by meat hooks in the same way that you'd hang up pigs, people being carved by a butcher. So I can totally get why this movie would take a stab at some commentary. I hate myself the most, let's keep moving. But they're subtle, and then there is whatever the hell this movie tried to do. If you want to go this heavy-handed, well, you gotta fucking do it properly. Certainly not in a movie where someone gets murdered with their own wrist bone. But we'll get there. 10 out of 10 moment, though. That's when I knew they almost had it. Point being, if you're down for like a gore fest with some creative kills and maybe a laugh at what they tried to juggle in, you know, not the worst way to spend a Friday night. But let's hop into the movie and the full spoilers. It's a cool hour and 23 minutes, so a breeze to get through. And as flawed as it is, I can't say that I didn't have a good time watching it, as it was interspersed with a bunch of really stupid things that I didn't like, because then there was the stupid stuff that I did like. You guys get my vibe by now. I think you get it. Basically, there's all really cool stuff interspersed with moments that had me horrified, but not remotely for the reasons the movie intended. So it starts, as many things do now, with an homage to the original. Because remember, kids, if you pay homage, you made a good movie. The plot doesn't matter. They got John LaRoquette back to do the opening narration, which is actually an unsolved murder mystery episode where they loosely describe the events of the first movie. Before finally saying that Sally, the only survivor, explained the events to cops once and has never spoken about it since, and they were never able to find Leatherface, the family, or the farm. Which never made any sense to me. It's not like it's like hidden in the woods or anything, but okay. But all this is playing in a dusty old gas station as Elsie Fisher, our protagonist, I guess, angel of 8th grade, who I am excited to see kind of break out of that kind of role. Didn't necessarily land it here, but she is watching this on an old CRT and talks to this local, like an NPC character. That's kind of what it came across as. But we end up learning that Sally went on to become a Texas Ranger. Pretty dope, but still wasn't able to track down old Leatherface. She also ends up buying a chainsaw corkscrew, and you know that is going to be used on someone by the end of the movie. I'm going to be honest, it was used in a really disappointing way, but let's just keep moving. But also soon we get that first moment of social commentary. And again, I would like to clarify that I have no issues with horror movies elevating themselves in different ways to make commentary on different things, different aspects of society, different cultural issues, different social issues. Totally fine with that. I love all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, this movie did not do it right, should not have tried, and tried too much. But they end up telling the guy that runs the gas station that they are headed to Harlow, and he calls them gentry fuckers.
Y'all have a nice day now.
Thank you.
Gentry fuckers.
So it appears that they are doing something with the city folk coming in and ruining homes for rural Americans, I guess. So real quick, going back to what the description of this movie is, because I didn't read it beforehand, but it adds some insight that I'll share with you now. Influencers looking to breathe new life into a Texas ghost town encounter Leatherface, the legendary killer who wears a mask of human skin. So are we supposed to believe that these people who barely look old enough to buy a lottery ticket have enough money to like buy up a ghost town to turn it into like some budding hip development with different investors? Like if this was a Walmart coming to town, sure, but this just kind of feels weird to me. And once it gets to the point where it explains a little bit more about what happened with the banks and stuff, I'm still left wondering, why did you get these people? What is the purpose of them heading this development if they didn't... Did they invest, but they're looking for investors? Well, I immediately thought that the better option here would have been having the whole town get bought up by some kind of like film studio to make a movie, which would have resulted in any lingering occupants being pushed out, and then these like young influencers are here to like be the actors in the movie. Because I'm not believing that these two have enough influence to take over a ghost town. They get like 2,000 to 3,000 likes a post on Instagram, but what do I know? And the fact that they're influencers never really feels obvious. There's like this one scene where Melody is looking through their Instagram posts and listening to a video that Dante put up about like opening a restaurant or something, and it still just didn't feel like influencer stuff. I don't know. But before they can even leave the gas station, this local man rolls up in a big old Dodge truck, 2 big old exhausts, and a gun strapped to his hip. And Mel just instantly starts making fun of him for having a gun.
Who has such a small dick they need to walk around in public with a fucking gun?
Ma'am, maybe don't antagonize the local with a gun strapped to his hip. Also, don't be a jerk. You can just make fun of him in the car later. I'd also like to point out that this appears to be a rebranded Tesla because they weren't allowed to use the Tesla logo or something. It's got the autopilot that looks like the screen from one of the like mid-2010 Teslas. I think somebody had it narrowed down to a 2013, 2014 Tesla, but take that for what you will. So yeah, on top of the gentrification thing, we are also going to take a stand on guns. However, as the movie continues on, you won't necessarily be sure if they are like shit-talking the guns or shit-talking the people who are shit-talking the guns. Really crushing it here, guys. Definitely not a mess at all. Then they acknowledge something that I swear to fuck is related to a classic tweet that an erotic novel was then based on, and I almost made a video about, when Truck Gun Guy says,
"See, we're plagued by feral hogs around these parts, and the only way to deal with an invasive species is to eradicate them."
And that's why he needs a handgun for feral hog defense. Which is literally this tweet. Legit question for rural Americans. How do I kill the 30 to 50 feral hogs that run into my yard within 3 to 5 minutes while my small kids play? The movie had me in this moment. I was eating out of the palm of their hands like a feral. I felt it getting stupid in a bad way, and this brought me right back. I don't know if that's what it was referring to intentionally, but I am going to hold that near and dear to my heart and assume that that was what they were doing, and if not, they've lost me. But Mel can't be blamed for antagonizing this guy. Her sister survived a school shooting, so she's a little bit sensitive to these things. We know this because we see the healed bullet wound, and her Instagram feed is loaded with anti-gun and shooting posts. Oh no. Is this elevated horror? Do you feel elevated? Do you feel the subtle introduction of themes bashing you in the head like Leatherface? It's all connected. Either way, the movie just feels like it's setting us up to hate the protagonist, which I do. Elsie's character is fine, but like they don't really do anything with her outside of like being the survivor, but not even in like an interesting way because they keep going around to different people too much. And there's just no hope for anyone else. They all suck. And obviously all the locals are like really against this, but Mel tries to like inject some like, oh, we're not gonna like do anything disrespectful. My grandmother was from the area.
When Harlow's sunflower blooms,
Winter is doomed.
We don't got any sunflowers blooming here. I don't know. Have you noticed my set drop? I don't know why I thought an upside down Barbie worked for this. I just really wanted that. Just this kindly old sheriff trying to make sure that the town stays respected, except when they get there, it's a literal ghost town. The roads are dusty. It has been a while since anybody has inhabited this place. Also, I would like to point out the irony of them saying they were hoping that these people would respect their town. Meanwhile, they are selling like corkscrews branded after their town tragedy.
Behold the joys of late-stage capitalism.
It's fine. It's only an hour and 10 minutes to go. And hey, remember when I said you should be nicer to people? You should, because Truck Guy is their contractor. So good job, Mel.
Richter's our contractor, Mel.
Again, I would like to comment on the fact that this is 7 hours outside of Austin. They are driving an electric car. I can't imagine where they would find a charge station for this thing, but you know what? We're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. Now, I can definitely see the appeal of wanting to revitalize an abandoned town if it was like actually abandoned, but this kind of sounds like a cult, which Truck Guy points out.
We're idealistic individuals who want to build a better world.
Yeah, that's a cult. At least the younger sister is smart enough to realize that this is dumb and threatens to move back in with her dad. Because for some reason, this person who barely looks old enough to drive is the primary caretaker for this whole ass traumatized survivor.
I know that you need me and that you can't take care of yourself.
But as if there wasn't enough already going on, there was an old, tattered Confederate flag on a building. Because I guess gentrification, guns, and shootings weren't enough to handle in our very brutal direct-to-Netflix slasher sequel. But it's obviously got to come down before the investors show up. So Dante and Mel run into this allegedly abandoned orphanage to do so, and depending on your television settings, you may not have noticed this old man sitting in the corner. And of course, when it pans back over, he's gone, and it was one of those bone chairs. I know that there are a bunch of Easter eggs like the original movies in this. I did not spend my time looking for all of them. I don't care. And when Melody's looking at this old orphanage picture from 1975, 1 year after the events of the original tragedy, there's someone real tall in the doorway with the face smashed in. Oh my god, I wonder who it is. It's the ghost of old confetti. Actually, it's Leatherface. And that's where we run into this old lady who really doesn't seem to have gathered that the whole town's been bought out and she needs to leave. Except she says she doesn't need to leave because she has the deed to the house. She paid off the bank and cleared it all up. Then we get an honest to God, I don't have a problem with you people moment before they call the cops on her. Which makes her freak out. Melody starts talking about how she'll be safer and better cared for in a home and she shouldn't be alone. But she's not alone. She's the only one keeping this thing contained. So when the cops show up to take her, she immediately freaks out, has a heart attack, and Big Boy comes right down the stairs to carry her out to the hospital. Psst, it's Leatherface. Shh. So So Ruth, Dante's girlfriend, agrees to ride with them to the hospital to make sure he's okay so that they can stay with the investors. And then the trucker gets the flag down and delivers this really weird line.
Here's your flag.
Like, I know he's upset that this woman has just, like, suffered a heart attack and been drugged out of her home, but that just seemed like some weird... I didn't like that. It just feels like someone on set was like, oh my god, that shot would look so sick. But the investors have finally shown up with the bank lady, who doesn't really add any more clarification there, just that she's really happy that they're working together, and they're really happy that she took a chance on them, and I don't really understand why she's not using real estate agents to transform this town. Is this like, did they go to the bank with like some big idea of taking over a city, and the bank was like, yes. Amazing. But if I'm being honest, like, who needs a real estate agent when you get like 2,000 to 3,000 likes per Insta post? Clearly, I am underutilizing my abilities. Anyways, Ginny obviously dies. Maybe you should have started giving her the oxygen when she was wheezing, but it's an instant shift in behavior. Dude snapped the deputy's hand straight off and then starts stabbing him in the neck with it in the most intense game of stop hitting yourself I've ever witnessed. Then the sheriff gets shot through the neck and they crash. See, we just need to stick in this zone, people. Ruth then wakes up to him skinning her. He was just so torn up about her death that he had to steal her face. Sir, I don't know if you noticed, but there was a perfectly good deputy face right there for you. Circle of life. Always the mommy issues. But she uses the sheriff's radio to call for help, and the gas station guy's like, oh my god, my moment to shine, and calls Sally, the only survivor from the first movie, who's literally been waiting for this moment her whole life while she was cutting open a pig on a hook. Just a lot going against what the original movie was getting at. Sadly, the original actress for Sally passed away not long after the 2013 installments, but I do like that they brought this character back to have like a Jamie Lee Curtis moment, but they don't actually do anything with it. She's horribly underutilized. You don't get that feeling that she's connecting to anything from the past to this movie, but we'll get there soon enough. Either way, after the dude finishes off the sheriff with some good old-fashioned blunt force trauma, Ruth decides it's a good idea to climb over the sheriff and climb out of the van. Then just starts like patting down her face. I don't know what's going on anymore. At least this leads to a 10 out of 10 moment. Peekaboo! I know someone who's been editing in a new character to the flower field every single day, and I've just been having a great time with it. But while Melody and Dante are dealing with some investors, Lila goes to talk to truck guy, Richter. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep calling him truck guy.
So, Richter? Why are you such a nihilist?
Oh, come on, I was rooting for you! Like, this is her icebreaker because of all the diesel he blasts out there with his truck. He just must not give a shit about anything. And then he's like, I'm a Texan, I just don't like people telling me what to do. Like, what does that have to do with your diesel truck? Are they doing some kind of like privileged city folk versus rural country folk? Because honestly, what I was thinking was we absolutely need more of that right now. And of course, he's got a big old gun that he unloads so she can hold, and then he sees her wound and asks,
Drunk dad?
but no, again, shooting, which they flash back to. I'm not gonna show it. I just cannot stress how much this was not the movie to even begin to try tackling this in. They have her acknowledging Survivor's Guild and how she feels like she's gonna be a disappointment to everyone by not doing enough with her life, so he gives her a cigarette, the American way. Also, this is how Ruth told them that the old lady died. The exclamation point is really what sells it home for me. Melody is obviously super torn up because she feels like she's to blame, but Dante's like, damn, heart disease has nothing to do with being ousted from her home. But before Melody can grab Lila and bail, truck guy grabs all their keys until they can prove they actually had the deed to the house, because he rightfully blames them for working up the old lady into a heart attack. But oh no, they didn't actually have the deed to the orphanage. Good job, kids. And before they can even begin to deal with this, Leatherface is back and immediately lays out Dante with a meat cleaver. Guys, did they give Leatherface a revenge plot? Whatever happened to the good old days of people just being cannibals? And Melody, who is upstairs, can't make it out, and she just has to like horrifically see all the people outside enjoying a barbecue while she's just waiting to be murdered. So Leatherboy wanders upstairs, starts sniffing Pseudo-Mom's clothing, even starts putting some of her makeup on, I was gonna say his face, but it is her face on him. There's a lot going on here. Then he starts sledgehammering the wall. And for what, you might ask? Oh, just this? Oh my god, guys, it's the Texas Chainsaw! Also, fun fact, I'm pretty sure that is actually like the original chainsaw from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. They told me that they were very proud of it. I don't think it actually makes a difference to the quality of the film, but again, if you pay homage, you've made a good movie. But all the slamming wakes up Dante, who is now essentially missing half of his face. It's like a Joker wound that never got fixed and sparked back up just long enough to alert Trucker Guy of the danger. So he heads to the orphanage, locked and loaded. And at first you think, oh my god, are they actually saying like, no guys, guns are actually good? You would be wrong. Absolutely not. It's a slasher movie. Guns are no good here. Dude gets manhandled by Leatherface, neck slammed into glass. And just as he sees Melody under the bed and starts pulling the keys out for her, Leatherface bashes in his head in a way that would make Glenn from The Walking Dead blush. You know, if his head hadn't been bashed in. Sir, you can no longer use that fine head skin for anything. It then cuts over to Sally on the hunt when she comes across the skinned body of his pseudo-mama propped up respectfully, I guess. I gotta assume that's what he was doing. Face skinning is respectful, right? She then starts muttering, I fear no evil to herself before scurrying off and looking at the pictures of her dead friends to remind herself why she has to see it through. Guys, it's the picture that the weirdo took. We're paying homage. So back to Melody trying to make her grand escape, and this dude yeets a sledgehammer at her, sending her flying through the floor into the crawl space. I don't think I have laughed harder watching a movie in a very long time. Like, people don't fall over when he throws things at them. They literally get transported away. And just as he's about to chainsaw her through the floor, he hits a pipe, which literally covers her in human fecal matter.
Poop is raining from the ceilings. Poop.
But Lila's right there, she makes it out, and they run to the party bus. She is absolutely a massive stinker for the rest of this movie. I don't know how any of these people have continued partying and having a good time when a walking outhouse just entered the bus. Don't pretend that 15 seconds in the rain solved this stench. So even though Dante was like dead on the ground, they're all just having a grand old time partying on the bus. But the bus does take it seriously, starts driving off, but then he is just waiting in the alleyway with his chainsaw, which he then uses to presumably take out a tire. And then this dumbass gets out of the vehicle. Sir, I have to assume they filled you in on the dead body. What are you doing? The beauty of this is in like 2 seconds flat after you hear like the revving of a chainsaw, this dude's head is just tossed right back on in the bus. Again, there is probably something very wrong with me, but I laughed so hard. And then Leatherface walks onto the bus slowly, and instead of screaming, all these people just pull out their cell phones. Ah yes, it's time for the commentary on social media and technology. And in case you didn't realize it was Leatherface from the Skin Mask, Lila has a quick mental flashback to seeing the wanted poster in the gas station.
Try anything and you're canceled, bro.
Who is this movie made for? Look, as I've mentioned numerous times, I love it when movies infuse like modern culture, live streaming, social media, and all that kind of stuff into their plots. But for the love of God, do something good with it. This feels like it was written by someone who's never actually experienced the internet and has just heard like secondhand accounts of the worst features and dramatizes them. So they finally realize that this might be real when the chainsaw starts up, but not before we get some panovers of the lovely Instagram live stream feed. You blew me off for this shit, and where is this? I wanna go. But the carnage begins, or should I say, the massacre begins. It really is a massacre. They can't escape because he's blocking the entrance. It is brutal. We got people being chainsaw slammed into ceilings. There are body parts flying. One dude gets chainsawed presumably through his butt and ween, then gets slammed into another girl against the wall. Not gonna go into the details of what that seemed like a visual representation of, but I'm sure your imagination can put in the work. But obviously they need to ruin the sheer brutality that is just so over the top that it doesn't feel gruesome anymore, even though it clearly is. Again, dude is literally throwing legs around. By giving Lila a flashback to those moments she was on the ground in her school. Guys, you are not the type of movie to address this story. You're just not. But her and Mel make it into the bathroom and realize, hey, skylight exit, in case the birds want to watch you poop on the bus or something. But apparently Leatherface hasn't learned to knock when he's waiting for the bathroom yet, because he just cuts right on through there like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. But hey, there's the corkscrew, not anywhere near as cool as I thought it was gonna be. She just stabs him in the arm so she can climb up and out. I really thought that they were gonna do something real cool and brutal with that, but guess not. But Sally finally makes it to town, and instead of getting the youngins to safety like a state troops or Texas Ranger should, she locks him in the back of her vehicle to go try to kill him.
It's him, isn't it? Leatherface.
And she is super prepped. They are like begging to leave, and she is just ignoring them because she's got this speech she's clearly been planning for years. 50 years she's been waiting for this night just to see him again. Truly waiting for the maniacal laughter. She won't even let them run away on foot because she wants to use them as bait, which was really unnecessary. He just like went back into his house where she wanders in with a shotgun and a cowboy hat, because obviously. And she has him dead to rights with the shotgun at his head and just won't do it. She just starts reciting the names of her dead friends while asking him to say her name.
Say you know me. Say you know what you did to my friends.
Ma'am, why would he know your name? He spent the entirety of the first movie pig squealing. But sure, okay, have your moment, queen. So he stands up and you think, okay, this is it. He's got like fucking 2 feet on her. But no, he doesn't even try to make a move on her because for some reason he knows that she's not to blame for what's happened, I guess. So he just walks out and starts trying to kill the girls again. Not sure why he ever stopped hunting them down when they had run away in the first place and gone back into the house, but okay. So as he's about to bust into the vehicle, Sally finally pops off a shot. Barely phases him because again, it's a gun in a slasher movie. But I finally get my maniacal laughter. I just needed her to fully commit to losing her mind. And shit, I really thought she was gonna Laurie Strode this situation, but he runs her through with a chainsaw and holds her to the sky. And then yeets her like 6 feet away into a pile of garbage. Final girl, my ass, where's Sydney? And instead of just driving away once they get into the front seat, Mel tries to run him over. Not smart. This is a big lad. Obviously it doesn't work and they crash through a building and some kind of metal spike goes into her leg. So she obviously tells her sister to run and then tries apologizing to Leatherface for getting his pseudo-mom killed, giving Lila just enough time to pop over with Truck Guy's big gun and say, "Hey, Leatherfuck!" Oh my god, it's so artistic, it pains me. Though you may remember that he unloaded this gun before he handed it to her earlier, which she absolutely should have known, but it's fine. I love it! But she somehow manages to dodge his chainsaw attacks multiple times before Sally is able to pop off a shot. No idea how she's still alive. He ran her through with the chainsaw, but okay. And then she imparts some terrible final advice. Tells her not to run because he'll always haunt her. Not hunt her, haunt her. Sure. Tell the little child to go after the guy who is at least twice her height and 4 times her size. That's gonna work out real well. And I realize that she has no way of knowing Lila's backstories, but the writers do, so it really feels like they were trying to create a parallel between this event and the event she already survived, even though they are vastly different. The more I try to think about the connection they tried creating here, the more my head hurts. It kind of feels like they were suggesting that simply facing something would fix or prevent a lot of the issues that she's already suffered. But no.
I was supposed to die in school that day, so death followed me here.
No. Again, it all just comes down to some like really poor choices when writing this movie. It doesn't help get the point across, and it's not remotely the type of movie to tackle this theme properly. I remember when I thought they were just gonna handle racism poorly, but they had a whole other mission in mind for poor handling. So obviously she has Sally's shotgun now, but again, slasher movie, guns might as well be shooting paintballs. It slows him down and makes him drop the chainsaw, but the second she stops shooting, on he lumbers. Until Mel pops up with the chainsaw and hits him with the KO uppercut. Again, the relationship this movie has with guns is so unusual and poorly handled that sometimes it feels like the guns are like these very serious things, and other times it feels like any other time a gun is going to be seen in a horror movie. So they walk out into the new day. Lila finds the picture and pops on the cowboy hat, looking just like Coral from The Walking Dead. And then another callback. They engage the autopilot on the car instead of just hauling ass out of town. This thing just starts slowly moseying its way out of town while they chuckle. When, of course, Leatherface smashes through the window, rips Mel out, and chainsaws off her her head as the car slowly autopilots away. So much for facing your fears, otherwise you'll be haunted forever. Could've got the fuck out of Dodge. And that's the reminder, kids. Run. And then he just dances around like he did at the end of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but this time in celebration. Holy shit, what a dumbass ending. I literally cannot get over her just desperately reaching for her sister through the sunroof as the car just keeps moving at the pace of a rascal scooter. It's so fucking stupid and so funny and everything I could have hoped for from this disaster, except when they tried to address serious topics. And for those who also spent their time ranting about what this movie was trying to do through the end credits, you will have noticed there's an end credits scene. Because why not? It's just a really quick one of him wandering back to his old house from the original, which has now presumably been abandoned for 50 years, but that means a sequel, baby. Oh god, what are they gonna do in the next one? I was gonna hope that they drop all the school stuff, but since Lila is the only surviving character, I would assume they might want to bring her back, so you can't really ignore that. By the end, the only character I really liked was Truck Dude, and he's a nihilist. But man, I can't lie, like, this is bad for a lot of reasons, mostly because of their insistence on injecting deeper meaning with the subtlety of Leatherface launching a sledgehammer at you. But it was a blast. I laughed, I yelled, I was confused, I've seen a hell of a lot worse. They just screwed themselves over by trying to be smart. But let me know what you guys are thinking in the comment section down below. I'm sure a lot of you guys really enjoyed this. Again, I had fun with this while also realizing it is very deeply flawed. But thank you all so much for watching. Thanks as always to my Patreon supporters. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave a like on the video if you're into that kind of thing. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm mostly okay, and we'll catch you all later. Again, I'm just never thinking this through.